Pixie Dust and Pumpkin Spice podcast, where every day is Halloween and every night is a magical adventure. Good evening, fellow travelers of the dark. Welcome to a very special edition of the Pixie Dust and Pumpkin Spice podcast. Tonight, we step into the fog, into a world where your nightmares are real, where every corner hides a new terror. This is Halloween Horror Nights. Why another episode covering this particular topic? Because this week I am actually going for myself. And I really couldn't be happier or more excited. This episode is going to be all about my own experience with Halloween Horror Nights. I've been venturing into this terrifying world since 2015, and let me tell you, it's a journey that only gets darker, scarier, and more thrilling each year. So whether you're a seasoned HHN veteran or planning your first horrifying trip, stick with me. We'll explore not just the houses, the screams, and the scares, but the memories, the traditions, and the incredible ways this event has become an annual highlight for me. Before we begin, let's set the scene. Imagine you're walking through mist-filled streets of Universal Studios, the eerie glow of fire-lit pumpkins hanging in the air, the chill in the wind prickling your skin, a chainsaw revs in the distance. Tonight, I'll be your guide. We'll dive deep into the horrors of HHN, from my personal favorite houses and scare zones to expert tips that will make your night unforgettable. Ready to scream? Let's begin. My first Halloween Horror Nights experience was back in 2015. I had no idea what I was getting into. I went with my mom and cousin. We were ready to face whatever the night threw at us. Walking into the park for the first time, the atmosphere hits you immediately. You can feel the fear in the air. And let me tell you, HHN is not for the faint of heart. There's something primal about it. Something that makes you feel like anything could happen. We were in line with these two guys, massive, burly dudes, who you'd think would be the toughest ones there. But no, they were the most terrified people I had ever met. They told us how the scare actors had been following them all night, tormenting them. At that point, I thought, all right, this is going to be fun. And then we hit Halloween. Michael Myers comes home. Picture this. You walk into a seemingly quiet neighborhood. Clotheslines strung across the yards, white sheets flapping in the breeze. The house is quiet. Too quiet. And then bam! Michael Myers steps out from behind the sheets. You can see his shadow before you see him. That slow, terrifying walk. My heart was pounding, and even though I knew it was coming, it got me. That's the moment I knew HHN isn't just about jump scares. It's about full immersion. It's psychological, and that's why I love it. After that, we went into This Is the End 3D. It was trippy. You've got 3D glasses on, neon lights flashing, and Seth Rogen's voice laughing in your ears. It was hilarious, chaotic, and absolutely unforgettable. A totally different vibe from Halloween, but a perfect way to end the night. It felt like we were trapped inside the apocalypse, but with a little humor sprinkled in. My first year, the bar was set high, and every year since then, HHN has managed to surprise me in new and terrifying ways. Let me tell you about one of the most iconic scares of my HHN journey. It's from the Tram in Hollywood. You're riding through the Universal backlot, the tram peacefully making its way through the dark when suddenly it stops. We're told to get off, and there they are. Rows of Chucky dolls, just waiting for us. And let me tell you, those little freaky dolls gave me the chills. They had this eerie smile plastered on their faces, like they knew something we didn't. And then it happens. The chainsaws. You can hear them revving before you see them, and then out of nowhere, a group of maniacs come charging at you. It was pure chaos. Everyone was running, screaming, trying to get away. The adrenaline, the rush of fear, that's what's kept me coming back every single year. Every year there's a moment like this, where you think you're not safe. And then you're not. And then there was the toxic tunnel. Oh man, this one is an overload for your senses. You walk into a tunnel filled with black lights, pulsing music, and a swarm of scare actors. It's bright, disorienting, and relentless. They're everywhere. In your face, getting up close and personal. And the combination of the intense lighting and the sheer volume of scares was incredible. It felt like stepping into another world where everything was turned up to 11. Those are the moments that make HHN stand out to me. The event is designed to hit you on every level: sight, sound, even smell sometimes. The detail and thought that goes into these scares is what makes HHN legendary. Now let's talk about this year. 2024 has got some seriously exciting houses coming up, and I'm hyped. 2 of them that have my full attention: Bloodlines and Monstruous. Bloodlines is giving me those gritty, ancient curse vibes. Picture a land haunted by old, forgotten folklore, the kind of story that feels like it's been passed down through generations. I'm expecting it to be atmospheric, dark, and deeply unsettling. I'm ready to walk through crumbling ruins, see shadowy figures out of the corner of my eye, and feel that creeping dread. I've got chills just thinking about it. And then there's Monstruous. I've been waiting for this one. I missed it last year, so it's really my redemption arc. There's something about that Latin American folklore that just really has my curiosity piqued, so I'm really looking forward to that one. But it's not just the houses. This year's Scare Zone's Murder of Crowz looks terrifying in the best way possible. They've got this tall crow character towering above the crowd, watching your every move. I've heard the design is stunning, and I can't wait to see the details up close. It's going to be a zone where you feel like you're constantly being stalked, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And then there's the Luchadores, which fuses Latin American culture with horror. I'm curious to see how they blend the vibrant energy of the lucha libre with the darkness of the supernatural. It's going to be a colorful, intense, and unlike anything we've seen before. Alright, we've talked about what makes Halloween Horror Nights special, but let me help you survive it. Trust me, I've learned a lot over the years, and I've got some top tips for making the most of your night. First off, and this is crucial, take your time. I cannot stress this enough. Halloween Horror Nights isn't just about rushing from house to house. The scare zones, they are packed with detail. The props, the costumes, the lighting. It's all part of the experience. Don't just run through them like you're trying to escape. Slow down. Absorb everything. Trust me, it's worth it. Tip number 2, comfortable shoes. You'll be walking miles through the foggy streets, dodging scares, standing in line. The last thing you need is for your feet to betray you halfway through the night. Or something you can move in. And layers are a good idea too. It starts hot, but cools down as the night goes on, especially as you're waiting to get deep into those haunted houses. You don't want to be shivering from cold and fear at the same time. Tip 3, Express Pass is your best friend. If you're serious about getting through all the haunted houses in one night, this pass is essential. HHN crowds can get massive, especially on weekends. You don't want to spend your night standing in line when you could be screaming your lungs out inside the houses. And if you're feeling really fancy, the RIP tour is a splurge worth considering. It takes the stress out of planning and lets you hit everything with ease. And speaking of stress-free, let's talk about food. Now I know you're here for the scares, but trust me, you'll need to fuel up. My go-to is Bumblebeeman's taco truck. It's become a tradition for me. Something about chowing down on tacos in the middle of a scare zone just feels right, you know? And if you need a break from the horror, head over to the Isla Nu-bar and grab yourself a drink. My favorite is a Bahama Mama, perfect for settling the nerves between houses. Oh, and don't forget, one of my personal HHN traditions with my friend Mindy is to kick off the night at Margaritaville, the perfect way to get into the mood before diving into the terror. And then the next day, a nice relaxing trip to the beach. It's always the perfect way to recover after all those scares. I highly recommend it. Now it's time for my favorite part, listener questions. I asked you all on Instagram what burning Halloween Horror Nights questions you had, and let me tell you, you guys delivered. First up, is Halloween Horror Nights too intense for a first timer? I've never done anything like this before, and I'm worried it'll be too much. Well, that's a great question, and my honest answer is it depends on how much you enjoy horror in general. HHN is intense, but it's also so much fun. The scares are real, yes, but remember, it's all designed to entertain you. If you're nervous, maybe start with the scare zones. Wander around, get a feel for the atmosphere, and ease yourself in. Plus, you can always pop into the shows like Late Night with Chucky for a break between the houses. It's okay to pace yourself and take it at your own speed. The next question is, what's the best house you've ever been through? That's a tough one. But if I had to choose just one, it's gotta be any of the Halloween Michael Myers houses. Those houses are terrifying. But it's not just jump scares, it's atmosphere. You could feel Michael's presence in every room, lurking, waiting. It's the house that left a lasting impression on me and I will never forget. And finally, our last question is, what's your strategy for getting the most out of Halloween Horror Nights in one night? I've got you. First, get there early, as soon as the gates open. Hit one of the bigger houses first, something like Bloodlines or Monstruous. Then use the express pass strategically for the rest. In between houses, spend time wandering through the scare zones. That way, you'll get a good balance of high energy frights and moments to take it all in. And don't forget to catch the shows. It gives you a little break from the intensity while still keeping you in the spooky spirit. Another tip to make the most of my time there is I actually buy the 2 p.m. day-night ticket at Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood. That way I get to go in early to some of the haunted houses. They open up sometimes as early as 5:30 if you're there already in the park. So as the fog lifts and the park gates close behind you, remember this. Halloween Horror Nights is more than just a collection of haunted houses. It's an experience, a ritual, a way to step into another world, to face your fears, and to leave with stories you'll be telling for years to come. For me, it's become a tradition, an annual pilgrimage into the darkness filled with laughter, terror, and memories that I cherish. I've built traditions around HHN, like starting the night with Margaritaville for lunch, savoring a taco from Bumblebeeman's, and of course, taking that next day beach trip with Mindy. These little traditions make it special and personal. And that's what I want for you too. Whether you're an HHN veteran or a first-timer, create your own rituals. Find your own rhythm. Let the night take you on a journey. Because that's what Halloween is all about, isn't it? Stepping into the unknown just for a while and coming out on the other side with a heart full of spooky memories. Thank you for joining me tonight for this episode of the Pixie Dust and Pumpkin Spice podcast. I hope you're just as excited for Halloween Horror Nights 2024 as I am. I'll be there, front and center, screaming my head off. And maybe I'll see some of you there too. Until next time, happy haunting, and remember, always check under your bed. You never know what might be lurking. Got a travel question, Halloween tale, or a crafty idea? Drop me an email or send a voice message to pixiedustpumpkinspice@gmail.com. You might be featured on our next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pixie Dust and Pumpkin Spice podcast for more spine-chilling content, travel tips, and magical stories. Until next time, keep the magic alive and the bats fluttering. This is Nick, signing off from the Pixie Dust and Pumpkin Spice podcast. Good night, and sweet screams, everyone.